Well, 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 well. You smell that? That's copium. You're not brave. Snyder fans are brave. Oh, so we just got off stream. I saw that Cosmic Book News put out an article. I'm gonna cover this tonight. It's already almost 12:30 a.m. for me. I'm gonna be super busy tomorrow. Might not have enough time to do videos. So we're gonna cover this tonight before I head to bed. So it says James Gunn staying at DC. New rumor clashes with insider claims. Now, I will say this. Some of you guys have been posting about Mr. Bub, mentioning me in another video, and that's okay. The funny thing about it is they still try to say the Superman didn't flop, and it's just absolutely crazy. But we'll talk a little bit more about that at the end. Okay, so it says a new rumor claims James Gunn and Peter Safran are still expected to run DC Studios once Paramount takes control of Warner Bros. Discovery. But that runs directly against what Cosmic Book News has been told for months. Scooper THWPT posted on X. As of now, once Paramount takes control of WB, the plan is still for James Gunn and Peter Safran to run DC. Now, Paramount's supposed to take control of it this year. James Gunn's contract isn't even done until 2027, so it kind of makes sense. But let's go ahead and carry on in the article. Let's see. It says the claim is worth noting because it pushes back against the bigger industry chatter surrounding Gunn's future at DC Studios, especially as Paramount WBD deal moves forward with major Middle Eastern backing. The new rumor says James Gunn and Safran stays at DC. According to THWIPT underscore, the plan remains for Gunn and Safran to continue running DC once Paramount takes control of Warner Brothers. For now, nothing has been announced by Paramount, Warner Bros., Discovery, DC Studios, Gunn, or Safran. Gunn is also still actively working inside the DCU. Supergirl, Clayface, and Lanterns are all in the pipeline. And Gunn recently started filming Man of Tomorrow. On the surface, the new rumor fits the public-facing version of DC Studios. Gunn and Safran are still in charge. The slate is still moving. DC is still acting like the current plan is the plan. Behind the scenes, though, Cosmic Book News has heard a very different story. And I don't want to hear all the haters saying who's Cosmic Crook News because they've actually been right about a lot of things that's been coming out lately. Cosmic Book News previously reported that our insider said Gunn will be out as head of DC Studios once Paramount takes over the Warner Brothers. Also, didn't John Campea come out and say that James Gunn was he's leaving, and then and now all the Gunn supporters they don't like to mention that. Our info was also backed up by John Campea, who said he is 100% sure Gunn will be out by the end of the year and could return to Marvel as Kevin Feige's eventual successor. I mean, he fits the Marvel much better than DC. Campea made it clear he had not spoken to Gunn and was not giving his own read on the situation, but his comments lined up with what we had already heard. At WonderCon in March, Cosmic Book News was told more of the same. Gunn is still expected to be out at DC, and it could happen before Man of Tomorrow is released. We were also told the Snyderverse will be back, with Zack Snyder and Christopher Nolan potentially returning under the new ownership structure. Worth noting is that Gunn has never shot down any of our insiders' info, and that is true. He hasn't said a word, and James Gunn. He gets on Threads, he gets on Twitter, he gets on IG, and he comments back on speculation and stuff. That's one of the things he is most criticized for. People tell him he needs to get off social media and focus on the DC stuff. So he has not done that. He went to YouTube and Bloomberg in what appeared to be an attempt to save his job. He also confirmed by questioning if he would be allowed to finish his DCU plans. I remember that. Donald Trump has supported Paramount, particularly when it comes to CNN and the broader media landscape. Gunn's political history does not appear to fit the direction of the new power structure could take once Paramount controls Warner Bros. Discovery. The White House also tweeted the Trump Superman meme on the day of Gunn's film release, including Truth, Justice, and the American Way, while Gunn's movie skipped out on the pro-American phrase the Man of Steel is known for. True, none of this has been confirmed by Paramount or DC. Still, the chatter keeps pointing in the same direction. Gunn may be useful to the current Warner Bros. Discovery, but the next may not view him the same way. Cosmic Book News has also been told the Saudis want Zack Snyder back in a big DC event to rival Marvel. Recent developments around the Paramount WBD deal appear to support the larger direction of our reporting. The Saudi Public Investment Fund is now part of the investment group tied to the deal, along with other Middle Eastern investors. Snyder also looks to be moving closer to that orbit. He is expected to direct Brawlers next, a UFC themed project with Saudi ties, and he recently teased being on the Paramount lot. For Snyderverse fans, that is where things get interesting. If the money wants Snyder, and if the new ownership structure wants a different DC direction, Gunn staying in complete control of DC Studios starts to look less certain. Following the release of Superman, Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos commented on the movie's shortened theatrical window and said films that underperform often move faster to streaming. Yes, because they start to lose a profit. Previously covered that as confirmation that Superman underperformed, just as our insiders first said. The trades also backed up what we had been hearing. Gunn's DC focus appears to have narrowed to his Superman family saga. Gunn was originally sold as the Kevin Feige of DC Studios, overseeing the entire connected universe with Safran. If the new plan is simply to keep him focused on Superman related projects while other DC corners open up elsewhere, that is not the same level of control. It also lines up with recent reports suggesting Gunn and Safran may not retain the same power under Paramount. Puck reportedly noted that directors and projects could move differently if the Ellisons take over, with Zach Kreger already discussed as someone who could do a DC movie under Paramount. So where does that leave things? THWIPT says the plan is still for James Gunn and Peter Safran to run DC after Paramount takes control of WB. Cosmic Book News has heard the opposite. Campia has also predicted Gunn will leave. WonderCon sources told us the same thing. The Saudi investment angle also continues to line up with what we were told about Snyder's possible return. Right now, Gunn is still at DC Studios. The slate is still moving. Man of Tomorrow is filming. Supergirl, Clayface, and Lanterns are still coming. The real question is what happened once Paramount actually has control. If the current DC structure survives untouched, THWIPT underscore will be proven right. If Gunn ends up pushed out, moved aside, or reduced to his Superman corner, it will be another sign that Paramount WBD deal is changing DC in a much bigger way than fans have been told. That is the article, ladies and gents. Let me get a little H2O real quick. Listen. At the end of the day, we're not going to know anything really until Paramount takes over. What we do know is that if the Paramount deal goes through, the Saudis would own up to 60% of Paramount. The Saudis love Zack Snyder. Snyder's working on Brawlers right now, a movie that the Saudis want. They love Zack Snyder's Snyderverse. So listen, I believe with full faith that when Paramount takes over, the Snyderverse will be restored. I've said that. Just like Kevin Smith has came out and said, I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it with Paramount taking over. Listen, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again. James Gunn's I people like to say I trash James Gunn. I like some of James Gunn projects outside of DC. I'm a realist. I tell it. I'm truthful. I'm real. I tell it how it is. I'm not a shield. Just like how all these people are on the internet who shield for James Gunn. That everything he does is great. No, James Gunn's DC is trash, but he has movies on the outside that are good, and I've said it a million times. He got the Guardians, he got Brightburn, he's got Slither. He's had movies on the outside that I've liked, but his DC content is just not there. At the end of the day, you can say what you want. Superman did not perform the way they wanted it to. They wanted it to make 1 billion. They wanted it to outbeat Man of Steel. It did none of that. It underperformed, aka flopped, especially when it comes to theaters. You couldn't sell the international audience. And this is the big difference between Zack Snyder and James Gunn with DC. Zack Snyder is global man. James Gunn is domestic man. Sure, Superman did great domestically. But when you're looking at the official numbers, the domestic doesn't mean anything. All of it matters. So money talks, bull walks. You know what I'm saying? And when you compare Zack Snyder's DC movies and look at his numbers, he's a money making machine. Despite the adversity that he has went through. And he had a lot of adversity. And James Gunn has free reign. He's on the top of DC. He runs DC. And he is struggling. Let's not forget, Superman flopped, aka underperformed, whatever you want to say, was confirmed by Ted Sarandos in court. It underperformed, aka flopped. Basic math shows it flopped 42 million. Now, me and everybody else with our own thinking abilities know that the budget was much higher than 225 million. Because I will say, even Geeks and Gamers came out and showed that tax statement from Ohio that had the budget at 363 million. So then you take in Peacemaker. It charted like once and it was very low. Peacemaker couldn't even hit over 1 million households. Creature Commandos couldn't do it either. You couldn't even get people to watch Creature Commandos for free on YouTube. So everything that James Gunn has put out so far has just been blah. And then you got Supergirl coming out. And when Supergirl flops, that's why they are pushing this narrative that the budget is only 100 million. So that way, when it makes 300 to 350 million, that's what all the estimations are coming out to be. It doesn't make the loss look that bad. But we know people who actually think for themselves and can actually do actual research know that Supergirl was more than 100 million. And I'll point it out. Someone in the comments said this. Batgirl cost 90 million. Do you really think Supergirl cost $100 million? Especially with all the reshoots, the added scenes, and all these other things going on with it? Absolutely not. So everything James Gunn has done DC wise has been a failure. That's just the truth. People like to say I just hate on James Gunn to hate on James Gunn. I'm just telling y'all the truth. That's all I'm doing. And people don't like the truth. So when they hear the truth, I'm a hater. Because I'm not shilling like them. You know what I'm saying? And I've told y'all, if my boy Zack Snyder put out a bad movie, I would tell you guys. Not all of his movies are high quality like his DC, but he has great movies. 300's up there with his DC universe. Watchmen's up there as well. Rebel Moon is a little below. I enjoy Rebel Moon, but it's not on DC's level. He has Sucker Punch, which I thought was an okay movie, but some people have told me that wasn't his original cut that he wanted out. I thought Sucker Punch was okay. So I tell it is. I don't sit here and, yeah, oh my gosh, Zack Snyder. Every movie he has put out has been a 10 for 10. Every movie. That's no. No. But that's how the gun shills act. That's how they act. They act like everything that has came out for DC has been a absolute rocket in the sky. But guess what? You can take a dookie. You can polish that dookie and dress it up. But guess what? At the end of the day, it's still dookie. And that's what this DC universe is. It's not going to compete with Marvel. And we will see, watch, when Supergirl comes out, mark my words, when Supergirl comes out, and then it has to go against Spider-Man Brand New Day, has to go against Avengers Doomsday, and even Dune. Just watch how pathetic DC's numbers are. Oh, and that's not to mention Man of Tomorrow comes out in 2027, and watch how bad that gets destroyed by Marvel. Watch how bad that happens. That's why they're going back right now, adding in all these extra things in Man of Tomorrow. You got Green Lantern being added in Man of Tomorrow. And you know the crazy thing is, James Gunn's Superman ain't even a damn solo film, man. You got like 18 characters in there. Man of Steel is a true solo Superman film. And he doesn't even use Superman in the title. It's Man of Steel. So we officially won't know anything until Paramount takes over. But with Paramount taking over, Saudis could own up to 60% of Paramount. That's over half. That's what we covered in that article. They could own over half of Paramount. And they love Zack Snyder. They love the Snyderverse. He's working on Brawlers for them. So when he finishes up Brawlers, bam, Justice League 2 could happen. Anything could happen because they like Zack Snyder. They know Zack Snyder makes money. Saudis know how to make money. Trust me. They know what they're doing. If Zack Snyder put out bad movies that didn't make money, I highly doubt they would ask him to do Brawlers. I highly doubt they would ask him to come back and do his Justice League. Because remember in that article we covered, it said that they approached him to come back. It wasn't the other way around. So time will tell all, man. And if James Gunn was to stay until 20, remember his contract isn't up until 2027. So, and John Campia came out and said that he could quit before then. Sure, I guess he could do his resignation. He could do his resignation then, because this is deeper than just DC and all this. This ties into politics. James Gunn definitely does not fit into the Paramount mold, especially with Trump and everybody. Not with that weak ass whiny Superman. Absolutely not. So, yeah, we shall see. But hey, maybe there's a thing working out to where Paramount's like, you know what? Why don't we do James Gunn's universe and we do Zack Snyder's universe? Now, months and months and months ago, I used to say that. I was okay with that. But then the trolls, they started talking crazy, and then they got me wanting the DCU to crumble and fail. And because once it fails, it won't be revived like the Snyderverse. See, that's the difference between James Gunn, DC Universe, and even a lot of actors, or not actors, but directors out here. Zack Snyder has that motion. He got that motion. And I think a lot of people are jealous about that, because here we are over a decade later, and it's still, the Snyderverse is still talked about. It's the most wanted thing in action hero comics on the big screen. So it is what it is. If that was to play out to where they do James Gunn's universe and Zack Snyder's, I would be fine with that. But I'll tell you what, you trolls, but hey, y'all been kind of losing the way y'all been watching how y'all talking, because y'all used to talk real reckless, and that's what turned me into a big troll and was trashing the DCU so much. But for y'all's sake, like I said, like I said months and months ago, I said I would be okay with James Gunn having his universe and then Zack Snyder having his. But y'all turned me because y'all talk crazy. Now, maybe that's being worked out behind the scenes. I don't know. But this is already an 18-minute video, and it's almost 1 o'clock, and I need to get some rest before I go to the gym tomorrow. So I'm going to leave it at that. I want you guys to post your comments down below and let me know what you guys think. My true belief is, listen, if James Gunn's movies don't make money, no business can keep making something that's not making a profit. It's as simple as that. So at the end of the day, numbers talk, bush walks. So it is what it is. All right, I'm gonna catch you guys in the next one. If I miss anything, let me know in the comments down below. Let me give y'all a thumbnail real quick. All right, man. 100,000 subscribers is grind time. Let's